Greetings, Rachel Abba Mentor here. In true Canadian fashion, I'm going to talk about the weather. What is going on out there? I thought it was summer. I trusted. And now we're back in coats, jackets. I thought it was, okay, I'm going to get past this. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday. It's like a weekly Wednesday clarity check-in with you. So thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. For those who are going to be on the replay, definitely you can put in your comments. You can put in your questions. I will circle back as always to see how we can connect and how I can serve and answer your questions. And I see some people popping up. Hello. So the purpose of these clarity check-ins is to, again, connect with you and to see where in your life, in your week, you might require support, because you get to do this with support and guidance. So where in your week could you look at and think, I've really been focusing on problems rather than the promises? Where could you not push through and soldier on, but where could you actually see yourself growing and leaning into that inner wisdom and being spirit-led in what it is that you're doing, what it is you're looking to create, and most importantly, who you're being. So this is the thing. So for those of you who are new to me and my channels and what it is that I do, I identify as a clarity mentor. And I do guide ambitious women of faith, bold women of faith, many entrepreneurs and creatives in going from a state of confusion and chaos to clarity, God-led clarity, where you're walking in your divine identity and your spiritual authority, right? Your divine identity and your spiritual authority to be able to kingdom build in peace. What feels like unshakable confidence. What feels like ease. What feels like the soft, successful life that God intended for you. So that's what I do. Confusion to clarity. Meaningful decision making, and I specialize in spiritual warfare. So everything in my experience has a spiritual root. I'm all about collapsing time and getting to the root causes of what it is that you might see as presenting as a problem or a challenge. Okay, so that's the clarity I'm talking about. So coming up in terms of calendars, coming up June 1st, I actually will be offering and hosting a free workshop in the series of Command Your Peace. The last one that I did, I believe, was a few weeks back, and it was absolutely fantastic. So Command Your Peace, it's a workshop. As I said, it's free, and essentially it's all about going from surviving to being spirit-led. And I touch on the 5 hidden patterns, keeping women of faith in particular from living the soft, successful life that God intended for you and me. So interestingly enough, at the last event, I had, oh, hey, Sanaj. Okay, how you doing? So at the last event, I had one of the participants jump on and ask, like, the soft life, soft, successful life that God intended. Is that, have you changed your view or perspective, Rachel, on the soft life? You know who you are, who asked that question. So the answer to that, just in case, you might require clarification, the soft life for me is walking in peace. The soft life for me is walking in my divine authority, where I get to do that with the confidence and ease of one who is covered under a supreme, superior covenant, a spiritual covering where it says in scripture, the Bible, scripture is, of the battle being of the Lord, where vengeance is of the Lord, where all of that stuff of striving and earning and being considered worthy is no longer my job. The work that I do and the life that I live and lead is of that deep knowing that the price has already been paid for me, and that my job is to be in obedience and to live out my life according to the will of my Creator, because they have a perspective that I do not. They have a plan that I trust is pristine. I know that whatever I can come up with, my God's plan is better. So my main work on this earth is to walk in peace and obedience to a higher plan. And that as long as I'm in alignment with that plan, I get my birthright is to live that and experience that and enjoy that soft, successful, fruitful life that God promised. So does that mean that I will never experience challenges? Does that mean that, I stick my head in the sand and there are never any troubles and everything is just pleasant and beautiful and wonderful and it's a rose garden? Of course not. That's where the spiritual warfare comes in. So already I know that because of the way of the world and the way everything is designed, I know that I have the promises I can lean on. Peace does not mean that, peace is not passive. Let's just put it that way. Peace, to walk in peace, you better be girded and ready and prepared to battle. When I say battle, not the one that the Lord promises they're going to do, but the battle that I get to do is one that I engage in with my flesh. God handles the world and everything else. My job is to deal with my flesh. That's the battle, the flesh. My thoughts, my actions, my deeds, my words, what I believe, how I connect, what I create in my reality, all of those things that are attached to the flesh, that is my job. That is the battle. That's where the spiritual warfare comes in, because that is the only in. Because remember, I said the price has already been paid for my salvation. The only in that the enemy has, that I often refer to as empire or the dark kingdom, the only in they have, the only way they can get up in my face is through the flesh. So how do you conquer the flesh? To ensure that by the flesh, body, sensory experiences, the way in to get my attention and to distract me and to sell me on fear and the optics of not being covered. See, this is why it's so important that you, as well as I, get to know who I am. Not who I think I am, but rather who I am truly through the eyes of the Creator. Who does God say I am? Who does God say that I am? That's the authority in which I walk. Not what the world wants me to believe and think that I am. So much of the work that I do, the blueprint, the foundation is on spiritual authority and your divine identity, knowing who you are, knowing in whose authority you walk. And based on that, navigating through the world to gain that spiritual clarity that then informs your reality. And that's how you walk in peace. And that's how you experience an ease. See, people cannot leave me be. There's always something, right? So anyhow, as I was saying, walking in your authority is so key. And knowing who you are. So again, I will invite you to the free workshop that's coming up on June 1st. Okay. All the information will be in the post. I'll put all the info there. The link to register is right there. It is Command Your Peace. It's a free workshop. And I'll be going over the 5 hidden patterns or the mistakes or the pitfalls keeping women of faith from living the soft, successful life that God promised. Okay, so please hop on, register, and I look forward to seeing you on the inside. Until then, I see you. Remain blessed. Bye for now.